Hey everyone, it's Adriana from Roadie Free Radio. In this episode, Larry talks with Tana Douglas, known for being the first woman roadie who has worked for bands like AC/DC and Status Quo. In this clip, Tana talks about her big move to London and her change from doing lighting work for bands to production companies. She also talks about the danger and lack of safety that existed while working as a roadie. If it didn't kill you, you just kept going. If you want to hear more about Tana's journey, you can listen to the full episode, number 160, from February 24th, 2020. Thank you for listening. Thank you for subbing. Here are Larry and Tana.
I kind of had in my mind set to leave, and it was going to be in April. It was the beginning of April. March, actually, because that's why I had to get my passport signed. So March was going to be my kickoff time, and then Patrick got hold of me and said, you know what, this tour is going to fail. He says, I don't want you to come out here. It's only, he said, I don't know if it'll go much more than a month, and sure enough, it didn't. The second leg, the big documentary that came out about Rolling Thunder Review.
Right.
It's all the first leg.
Right.
They forgot to mention the second leg fell on its ass. But,
right.
It happens. You know. But so I already had in my mind I was leaving. So I went, fuck it, I'll go to England, see what happened, because I'd done more British tours than American tours, So I thought, well, I'm ready to go. Psychologically, I'm ready to go. I'll just go,
Yeah.
So off I went. And I'd worked with a band called Status Quo, which is an English band, which probably people in America probably don't know much about Status Quo. But they've sold like 200 million albums. They're still going, a version of them, you know what I mean? Still mates, love them to death, But I ended up hooking up with them. I mean, we're talking about the fun times and stuff because we're skipping through stuff. There was dark times. But you have to read the book to find that.
Oh, come on.
I mean, I was homeless for a bit. It was freezing cold. I was in Amsterdam going, what the hell am I doing in Amsterdam? Well, you didn't have to get a visa or anything, and you didn't need a round-trip ticket. So, and it's just across the pond to England. Can't be that difficult.
Right. And it's Amsterdam.
And it's Amsterdam.
And you know how to roll a joint. And
I didn't smoke pot by that point. Once I started with AC/DC, I actually stopped smoking pot. So it was funny. But I still rolled a really good joint.
Yeah. Well, once you learn it, it's like riding a bike.
Exactly. So I went to England, thinking that, then if something does come up with the Dylan thing or whatever, then at least I'm halfway there sort of thing,
Right.
So, but I ended up getting working for Quo again, and I ended up with them for like 4 years in all. So, once I started working, it was good. I did a couple of other little things beforehand, a band called Pat Travis. And that was when Nico McBain was drumming with them before he became a heavy metal rock star. But, so, it was, I kind of had to start again a bit in England, which is fine. I expected that, you know. It was hard, because I didn't want people to know I didn't have any money. I didn't have a home. Right.
Are we still mid-70s now? We're going up close to the 80s.
Yeah, we're 70s, mid-70s. And then, I spent years with Quo. And then, they built their own lighting rig, which I ran for them. And then I transferred they went off the road in 1980. So I took that rig to a production company called Tasco, who'd only ever done sound.
Right.
But now they could do both. So from that, I got to by running the Quo rig for them, I got to be their head lighting person at Tasco. So I didn't actually go back to Quo after that. I stayed with Tasco.
Right.
And then that's, started just touring back to back with that as well.
From Australia to England at that time, tell me some of the differences, sort of production-wise, and, was Australia on the same par with what they were doing in England, right? Or was it like, or once you got to England, it was like, oh, okay, now this is...
No, it was, it was...
And I'm not belittling anything.
No, I totally understand. I mean, just logistically, we were behind. We had to be because it was no one wanted to pay to get all the gear there. You know what I mean? So we had to start making our own. You know what I mean? Which was knockoffs and good knockoffs. And some of those companies still go to this day. But yeah, it was different because there was so many more companies.
Sure.
There was competition. Whereas, you were sort of hanging on by the seat of your pants in Australia, and what can you come up with? Well, we've got this,
Yeah.
But, in England there was, different companies. So, and also there was bands who had their own production companies like The Who.
Right.
And luckily I got in with ML Executives, which is The Who's company, and they taught me They taught me stuff. In Tasco, I was learning all the time, and it was right when Avo lights first started. I mean, I had one of the first QM500s, it's like, and the Avo racks, before that it was Oldham in England, but Oldham got left in the dust. I mean, Avo was just a brainstorm. You know what I mean? It was just so amazing from the lighting point of view. It was just like, oh my God, look at this.
Right. So
Finally.
were you designing the shows also?
I designed some, but most, I was still learning. I was still learning. So, I was learning how to rig. I was learning electricity. I was crew chief.
Gotcha.
I ran the Dimmer City, So I kind of had enough on my plate. And again, I always had this thing about working for a band directly. I didn't really want to do it.
Okay.
I thought I could just keep moving.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot. I mean, it's like putting your eggs in one basket, right? I mean, it's like you never know what's going to happen. Again, we talked about the explosion, but there's always the implosion.
Yeah,
and then, like you said, with Quo, they come off the road.
Yeah.
Well, then what?
Yeah, for a year,
Right.
And it's like, but luckily for that year, I just took,
Sure.
I'm kind of business minded, it's like, I mean, I got into it for the love of music and the knowledge and the safe place to land. It really was a safe, even though it was rough and Wild West and some scary people in those days, right back at the beginning. But I felt safe with them, So I kind of like that camaraderie thing. I didn't want to sort of step out from that too much. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It kind of made me feel safe, I guess.
Yeah.
And I was still quite young.
And I imagine too, again, mid to late 70s, coming into the 80s, we got super hard drugs.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure you lost a lot of people, a lot of friends.
A lot. It's tough being that young and knowing so many dead people,
Yeah,
It's
right.
really tough. And it's weird how you adapt to stuff, It's like the normal, But and even through not just drugs, through accidents and stuff, because there was no safety standards. There was none of that, I mean, with Quo, the last year I was with them, we're at Wembley Arena and Empire Pool, it was called back then. And our rigger fell from the roof, and literally I sort of heard a thud and felt a whoosh of air and turned around and there's the rigger on the stage. And it's like, fuck, what happened? Sorry. And it's like, I didn't see it, but I felt it because I felt that whoosh, But what do? I get grabbed by the head lighting guy, the designer, and he's gone, we've got to get in that roof and get those steel cables. We're opening the NEC in Birmingham tomorrow night. We can't stop, and that's how it was. You didn't stop. You didn't get everyone take a break, stop. We're going to send someone to, talk you through it and stuff. It was like, hell no. You stepped into the shoes of the person who'd fallen and you kept going.
Right.
It's not that you didn't care for that person because you're getting an ambulance, you're trying to position him so he's, to try and preserve whatever you can for him. He didn't die. He survived, but there was other instances with bus crashes and stages collapsing and lighting rigs falling over where people do die.
Yeah.
But there was never any, I mean, I got electrocuted for Christ's sake. I got 3-phase 200 amps, Did I see a doctor? No.
Right.
No, they put me on the bus. And when I finally came to, I focused the lights. I don't remember anything about the show. But I guess I did it, and my hair started turning grey, but it was like, so that's the things that happened. If it didn't kill you, you just kept going.
Right.
Right. So, what was the question?
Well, shit, it was... Hey, what's happening, roadies? It's Larry here. Just wanted to thank you so much for listening to this short clip. I really hope you got something out of it. If you can take 2 seconds to head over to iTunes and drop us a review or a comment, we would greatly, greatly appreciate it. Keep listening, keep coming back, stay healthy out there, and remember, no roadies, no rock and roll.